Hello everyone. When most people find a bug or a worm on their plate, they throw the food away and probably lose their appetite. However, this isn't always the case. Experts note that about 1,400 species of insects are edible. They are eaten in 36 African and 29 Asian countries, as well as in some parts of North and South America. In some countries, these creeping and flying creatures are considered a delicacy, while in others, they're part of their daily diet. For us, this doesn't sound very appetizing, but many insects contain large amounts of protein. In addition, people say they taste pretty good. So let's find out which insects are considered the most delicious. Let's get it on. Ants. Everyone knows these insects because they're almost everywhere. Ants are very good when fried or baked too. They taste sour or sweet and sour depending on the species. Particularly valuable are these so-called honey ants that store nectar. They differ from working ants in that they have a disproportionately large abdomen filled with sweet liquids. By the way, ants aren't as nutritious as their larvae and pupae, which are basically ants' eggs. They look like white or yellowish rice grains and have a nutty taste.
Oh, come on.
Larvae can be picked up by tearing up the wall of a large anthill. This is much easier than catching the ants, although usually it's not that difficult. Just leave a fragrant jar or some food near the ant's trail, and the tasty insects will just come to you. In the simplest rustic version, ants are cooked by wrapping them in leaves and holding them over the fire for some time. But there are also more refined recipes. For example, ants and larvae are added to meat dishes as a condiment. Ants are believed to be the most popular edible insects on Earth after grasshoppers. Tarantula. Big venomous spiders aren't something you want to have for dinner, right? Suddenly, the monster hasn't been properly cooked and whoosh, ugh. However, fried tarantula is a common dish in Cambodia. It's believed that in times of famine, locals were looking for a way to feed themselves and eventually found that tarantulas were not only dangerous, but also quite nutritious. Besides, they taste like crabs and nuts. What's not to like? Roasted charcoal black tarantulas are a common street food in Cambodia. A lucky spider catcher can catch up to 200 specimens a day, and they're sold very quickly. Cambodian tarantulas are fried in a frying pan with salt and garlic. Larger individuals, such as bird eaters, are char-grilled. A slightly more elegant way of preparing tarantulas is used in Japan. First, they tear off the spider's abdomen, then burn the hairs and quickly deep fry the insects. And of course, before cooking the spiders, the chef must remove the venomous glands, because the heat isn't able to fully neutralize their poison.
There we go. No.
Cheers, good. Cheers. Down the hatch. Here we go.
Cicadas. Cicadas are basically big, very loud and very annoying flies. They spend most of their lives, roughly 17 years, living underground and sucking the juice out of the roots of trees. However, unlike common flies, these insects are beneficial to humans. As soon as young cicadas come out to the surface to reproduce, many people catch them. It's important to do this before the insects grow up and harden. In Thailand, a dish made of cicadas is a national delicacy. The fact is that the body of this insect has a huge amount of protein, and its energy value is very high. Cicadas are hunted late in the evening. The prey is collected in a jar and then boiled. Wings, legs, and insides are removed, and the insects are fried until golden brown. Basically, it's like cooking shrimp. Sometimes the cicadas are sprinkled with salt, and sometimes served with onions and other vegetables. It turns out that they're a really nutritious dish, which, according to exotic food lovers, is also quite tasty. They say cicadas taste like asparagus or potatoes, but not everyone will dare to try them. Palm weevil larvae. How hungry do you think you need to be to eat some larvae? Soft, moving larvae that could even bite your tongue. Nevertheless, the larvae of the red palm weevil is an important ingredient of the traditional cuisine of Southeast Asia. Here, they are fried for a few minutes and served with salt and a small amount of white pepper. These larvae are also consumed raw when they have a creamy flavor, or boiled, which make them taste like meat or bacon. so food lovers will enjoy this dish. They are often cooked in palm flour or grilled. However, weevil larvae can be fried on a frying pan without any oil because they contain a lot of fat. By the way, don't think that the extermination of larvae will have a negative impact on the environment. Palm weevils are dangerous pests that gnaw at palm trees and slowly kill them. So if you want to try an unusual dish and choose weevil larvae, know that you're not only eating insects, but you're saving palm trees as well. Scorpions. Dangerous, frightening scorpions are eaten in Vietnam, Thailand, and China. Apparently, these people aren't afraid of them at all. It's said that the taste of these creepy creatures resembles something between a crab and a shrimp. The only difference is that neither crab nor shrimp can kill you with one blow. In China, scorpions are steamed and served in a flatbread with sauce and vegetables. In Thailand, scorpions are used for making small kebabs and served on a stick as snacks. Now it's even possible to buy canned scorpions that have undergone heat treatment. By the way, heat treatment completely neutralizes their poison, so exotic food lovers shouldn't be afraid for their lives. Termites. What some people think is a strange modern quirk, for others is a centuries-old tradition. Termites are widespread in African countries, especially those adjacent to the Sahara Desert. Everything inside a termite colony can be eaten, including the eggs and the females, the largest of which can reach the size of a potato. Here, as well as in parts of Indonesia, termites are a popular dish. They're harvested at the beginning of the rainy season, when other sources of protein become unavailable. Usually they're simply fried in butter or grilled, but sometimes they're also eaten raw when there's no time to cook them. And they taste a bit like carrots. Yeah, nature's a freaking strange thing. Termites are also used to make a butter-like product. For this purpose, they're boiled and separated from the fat, which is later used to prepare other dishes. Stink bugs. Usually, when you meet a stink bug, you want to get rid of it as soon as possible. It is advisable to throw it out before the unpleasant smell of the insect spreads to the whole room. But in many countries in southern Africa, stink bugs are eaten as snacks. But before that, they're soaked in warm water to get rid of the pungent flavor. In South America, on the contrary, they are appreciated for their aroma, so they are added to the food as seasoning. Very, very peculiar seasoning. The strong smell of stink bugs is also appreciated in Vietnam, where they're used for a spicy stew, and in Laos, these insects are grinded up with spices and herbs to create a paste called chio. The taste of the stink bugs is like a mixture of cinnamon and iodine, perhaps the strangest combination on our list today.
Stink bug. Oh my God.
The hoo-hoo beetle larvae. The hoo-hoo beetle is a longhorn beetle, and it's the heaviest beetle found in New Zealand. Most often, the larvae of these insects live in wood, and indigenous people consider them to be a delicacy. The larvae are so valuable that they're even eaten raw and alive. Oh yes, this is not something for the faint of heart. They say that hoo-hoo beetles have a buttery chicken flavor, and for some it resembles peanut butter. Of course, these larvae contain a lot of protein, and maybe they are really tasty, but you need nerves of steel in order to taste this dish, and most likely a stomach of steel as well.
Nice.
Grasshoppers. You can find references to grasshoppers as food even in ancient texts, which is not surprising. People have always known that these insects are much more beneficial than they seem at first glance, and that's why grasshoppers are eaten in many places. For example, in Mexico, they're eaten in a variety of ways: boiled, raw, sun-dried, fried, or soaked in lime juice. The most popular dish with insects is guacamole with grasshoppers. These insects are quickly roasted, and as a result, they instantly change their color from green to reddish, then mixed with avocado and eaten with tortillas. It's worth noting that the grasshopper itself does not have a distinct taste. The insect is just a source of protein. Of course, if you eat a living grasshopper, then most likely you might get poisoned.
Oh.
When cooked, it tastes like the oil and spices that the grasshopper was fried in. In some countries, grasshoppers are used as snacks and sold on the streets. This spicy, crispy dish can easily replace chips. Wasps and bees. The older generation of the Japanese still love wasps and bees cooked in a variety of ways. One of these dishes, hachinoko, is larvae cooked with soy sauce and sugar. In some cases, honey is even added. It's a translucent, sweet caramel-like mass which goes well with rice. Wasps are cooked in the same way to make a dish known as sibatenoka, and it's often used as a crispy and very expensive snack for beer. This dish reminds the elderly Japanese of the post-war years and the ration stamps, when wasps and bees were especially popular in Japan. It is in steady demand in Tokyo restaurants as a nostalgic treat. It's said that these insects are sweet and quite pleasant to taste, especially if you don't think about the price. Japanese dishes made of wild wasps and bees are not cheap. It's impossible to mass produce this dish, and the cooking process is quite laborious. Wasp and bee hunters tie long colored threads to adult specimens to track their nests. Have you ever tried tying a thread to a wasp? Believe us, the wasp will not be delighted. By the way, you can find canned bees